Let's call the November 11th, 2020 special meeting of the Downtown Development Authority to order. Let's have a roll call, please. Director Brake.
Present.
Director London.
I'm here, believe it or not, I made it.
Director Riley.
Here.
Director Baglio.
Here.
Director Rosbeck.
Here.
Director Krieger. Jason's on.
He's not on.
Okay, and Director Yesbick is here. I think that's everybody. Okay, first item is a public comment. Were there any public comments?
There were no public comments called in today.
Okay, then we'll get right into agenda item 4, Downtown Dollars Program. Who's starting us off on that?
Sean, do you want to take it or do you want me to take it?
Mr. Chair, I can apprise the board with some, basic background. At the last DDA meeting, the board approved a holiday gift card program. This was a 100% match from DDA funds that were already in its account with YIFT. Basically, the customer would go to visitroyaloak.com. They would be then taken to another site where they could then purchase a gift card. If they purchased, say, a $25 gift card, it would be sent to them via email. Then they'd get a matching card sent to them that would be paid for by the DDA. DDA picked up the cost of all fees for both cards. Program went live on November 1st. By, I want to say, November 3rd or 4th, November 3rd, it was advised that we suspend the program because the parameters had shaped certain incentives for participants basically to bypass customers altogether. We were dealing with some situations in which, some business participants, as you know, we have about 70 participants in the program. We had some situations in which some business owners could very well buy their own gift cards, get the match, and then put it back into the register. And so this alarmingly, I woke up to this on the 3rd. And so it was advised that we suspend the program until we could address some of the parameters, to make it so that business owners weren't as incentivized to do this. I think the spirit of the program that the DDA approved was holiday shopping. The goal was to bring customers downtown and to introduce new faces to businesses and to help those customers build relationships with the participating businesses. And it wasn't just, handing money. It wasn't a direct supply of money to businesses so much as we were attempting to build a sustainable economy. Eventually, we wanted to have some long-term effects from this. So the program is suspended presently, but it's only suspended insofar as you cannot purchase cards until the rules are revised and reviewed by the DDA at this meeting. Anyone who currently has a card can still redeem them at the participating locations. So it was discussed and suggested that the DDA possibly consider changing some of the rules, including maybe the level of the match. It had been suggested that that match possibly go down to 50%. It's up to the board to decide. It was discussed to remove the $100 cards and keep them in smaller increments, like $25 or $50 amounts. That's, up to the board's decision here. Also, whether the board wanted to consider keeping this program limited to retailers, bars, and restaurants. And, instead of having it open to all businesses downtown, whether those be business to business businesses that don't have their, like what you would see with, transit, that the amount of transactions, the level of transactions. If you're a company that does business to business, you're going to be dealing in much higher numbers with your transactions. And, if we're dealing with a gift card program, is this program really suited for that scale? So these are just some things for the board to consider if they wanted to revise the program. We're looking to get this program back up and running tomorrow, November 12th, with some new parameters. So that's basically the background of the situation at hand.
If I can just weigh in further, the first thing I'll say is that I was wrong. The Consumer Marketing Committee, I think, had a better handle on this than I did or we did, but I'll specifically say I, particularly in terms of the match. I think that the program that we put out there was, if I could use a verb, and there were some things out there that I think I should have foreseen, and some things that I don't know if any of us would have foreseen that have happened, and we'll just let it go at that. The good news is that we put the brakes on it without too much damage being done, hopefully. And there's still a lot of what's gone out so far. A lot of it is being used the right way, and there's a lot of it still out there to be used the right way. When I was watching the cards get picked off, there was just some interesting trends that went along where you'd see people bang $10, $100 cards in a row, and then right after the next thing you know, those were being that we get it back up tomorrow. I know we're gonna have to do some work with EFD. We will roll the promo back out. My internet connection's unstable. Can you guys hear me? I'm in the middle of a tropical storm right here, so if I lose you, I'll try my phone. But the bottom line is, I agree with everything that Sean said. We need to go back and revisit the match, whether we remove the $100 cards or not. I feel that we definitely have to lower the max down, like maybe 300, 300. I'm not sure, depending on everything we do and what we talk about. And there's some things, and I don't want to single out salons, but I had never thought of the fact that people would go out there and bang the $100 while they're getting their hair cut and colored, and it's $200, and and again, it's a business, and I'm open to whatever everybody decides here, but it is something where people just sometimes come into town and leave, and it's ongoing business. And the whole purpose of this, like the spirit of the program, we always knew there'd be a little bit of abuse one way or another, even with the $20 cards. But the spirit of this program, just like the $20 cards, is to bring business in and bring new business in, and for them to overspend. In other words, like the $20 cards were great because I think on a retail level, I had a lot of people telling me that the average bill was $40, and on a restaurant level, it was like 60 or 80. So I think that's one more reason to get rid of the $100 cards. But so again, I apologize. I apologize for taking your time. I apologize for missing the boat on this one. Just FYI, Sean, I just checked before we got on. Our account with EFD we got about 122,000 still in the account. So that tells me that about 55 or 60 has gone out already on this program. We committed 150 to the program. From a PR standpoint, when we re-announce, if we wanted to maybe add a little bit of money in, because we're probably going to be lowering some parameters, how we want to handle that, that's up to everybody. But the bottom line is the money is sitting in the, because we do need some of the money for the fees, but so I'll leave it at that.
I can't hear you, Tony.
You're mute. There you go.
Yeah, it mutes by itself. So two things. It certainly is no individual's fault. We all approve this, and clearly we all understood the spirit of the program. And so not everybody in downtown understood the spirit of the program. So we just have to put some restrictions, some parameters to make sure that the program is administered the way we contemplated initially. The other thing is I can't see everybody, so just help me out if you want to you know, if you want to say something, I don't know if Tim can recognize or just, you know, we politely interject. I do see your hand, Director Rosbeck, so go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say, Director Riley's being too hard on himself. So I do think that we had really good intentions with this program. I do think that we should think about lowering that $100 gift card and maybe keeping the highest at 50 or even going to 40. I mean, but I would recommend that we go back to that half. If we are going to do a bonus money, to do half the value of whatever that card is. Oh, Mr. Brake.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
You know, when you talk about limitations, I would suggest instead of allowing any one individual or business to buy unlimited amount, that you limit the number of purchases, and that could be set up, and I don't know if Gifty could accommodate that. It would be one per email address, and also furthermore tag that to, if someone is using the same credit or debit card, to limit the number of purchases that per that type of card. So if there's someone that's trying to work around the system, because like what was described in the very beginning, the intent is to spread this around and to provide opportunities, hopefully for new shoppers to take advantage of this. But for someone who's just purchasing the same one over and over again, we should limit that. And I don't know if it's limit 1, but I'm just throwing that out as an example, or maybe you limit 2, or whatever that number is. But rather, I'm not so concerned about the dollar amount limit. What I am concerned is about individuals making repetitive purchases, which is a different item in itself. But I'll defer to the wisdom of the board, but I would wholeheartedly limit the number of transactions per, and it would make it, you know, email address, the type of card that someone's using. So you don't have someone that, like myself, I have multiple email addresses. So, you know, there's ways that if I was considering that, there's ways that I could purchase, you know, several of these items. But if we can also tag it to, if Gifty could help us to determine if someone's using the same purchasing card, meaning the same credit card or debit card, that we limit that purchase per that type of card. So just throw that out for the board's consideration.
Anybody else?
I have something to say.
Yeah, Lori's raising her hand.
Well, that was my thought too, same as Mr. Breaks, that you can use a credit card for a match if they're using it. Secondly, I did buy these to give to my staff before Thanksgiving as a thank you for helping me through COVID. And I was charged so you said there's no fees involved. I was charged $3.50 per card.
Lori, can I say something?
Yeah.
Did you get your match? Because your cards went up the day before the program started, and I emailed Sean. I said, Lori just bought 5 cards. I said, because I don't know if you got your match.
It was very confusing. It was, I didn't, so I had a,
You bought it before. I saw that.
I bought them the day that Sean released them. Anyways, another employee, actually, she bought them to give as gifts. I said, oh my God, I bought them to give to you guys or give it to you for Thanksgiving. And I haven't given them to them yet. And so they're still sitting in my email, but she showed me where I did get the match.
Okay, you did get it. Okay. And that's a great point there. And one, you know, the original spirit of the program was that these were going to be, you know, cards for holiday gifts, right, or for rewards, which was why we kind of had the max the way we had it. And I do know this. I do know that Gifty can cut off $1 max per person, which again is going to be per email address. And if, you know, we went through this with the $20 cards, you know, people could register under different email addresses, and I'm sure they did. And like I said, there's never going to be the foolproof system where we can keep out, you know, all the ne'er-do-wells, but I definitely agree that we got to bring the max down. And I remember the Consumer Marketing Committee, your biggest concern was spreading this out to more people. And again, you were right in that. And if we'd left it alone at the 50%, we would have got not only more people, but more money out there, because it would have been more of their money. So that's why we wanted to put the brakes on it.
Gary,
Gary's up, Tony.
I'll be the call out, Tony.
Matt, I don't see a resolution attached to this agenda item. Does the BMC have a resolution that we could?
Basically, what we discussed, and we didn't come up with a formal resolution, but we discussed removing the $100 cards, dropping the match to 50%. So going with the $25 and $50 cards only, and dropping the max purchase to either 300 or 250 or whatever you guys decided. But I do think that it should be there a little bit, that you could do something like Director London wanted to do for her employees, where she's getting them, because the purpose of this is to, give stocking stuffers or give gifts, so if you had 4 kids or whatever, or 4 friends, that you could do it.
Gary,
Can I make a resolution to do what Matt just said and add what Director Brake recommended that YIFT help us out for in terms of multiple purchases under one credit card?
Well, Sean, back me on this. I think the way it is now is it by account. They could right now by account. Well, it's off the board, but they could buy up to $1,000, which would mean, by the way, that they would get $1,000 in matches. Okay, in other words, they spend $1,000, they get $1,000 back. So so keep that in mind. 50% match, $25 and $50 cards. Do we want the max to be 300, where they spend 300 and then we match 300? So they could do it in $25 cards, or they could do it in $50 cards.
right, and I think that what Matt is trying to say is that the email is the only stopper right now. It's not the credit card. So, but I think, Gary, to your point, I think your resolution is
Adding a credit card check in terms of multiple uses.
or up to a limit. Do we
Correct.
want a limit?
Yes.
I'm
And-
not sure if YIFT can do it by credit card. I would probably have to talk to them to see if that's feasible.
Yeah,
Can
and
we-
one thing, just FYI, as it is now with the changes that we're gonna make, we basically, bad news is we had to shut down the program, but we thought it was prudent to at least put a date on there so that people knew we were coming back. And we do want to live up to the date. And I'm not saying that we want to force something through it, but Sean's gonna have his work cut out for him once we get done with this meeting. Thank God YIFT's on the West Coast, because he's gonna have to get on the phone with whatever we've decided and beg Donna for to get everything put in place so that this goes live, back live sometime tomorrow.
So can I offer Gary some wording for you?
So but with the limitations that you just spelled out, you think that will take care of the problem that we were having without Director Brake's suggestion?
The problem that we were having, I don't think was with individual people. It was just with people not living within the spirit of the program. It wasn't so much the people buying the cards as.
But- But do
with-
we think the $1,000 limit is also an issue?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, no, I'm recommending dropping that to 300 or lower. If you just, no, that's going way down.
So by bringing the limit from $1,000 down to 300 within the resolution should correct the problems.
So,
I think by getting rid of the $100 cards, changing the match, because now there's more skin in the game for the buyer, and the cards are more at the $25 and $50. They're more they're going to be used for the intended purpose. And like I said before, and I should have thought of this. I'm sorry. There's no reason I shouldn't have thought of this. But by giving the $100 cards, you really limit the economic impact of the program, because if you're going, for example, out to dinner somewhere and it's a $50 bill, well, you know, that's what you spent with your card. Whereas if you had a $25 card, you're going to go out to dinner and it's going to be the $50 bill. In other words, you're creating more economic impact with the dollars that we're putting out there. By putting the $100 card out there, it goes dollar for dollar too often.
So Gary, can I offer you some, based on all this conversation, can I offer you some resolution language?
By all means.
So I think the resolution would be to redraft the Downtown Dollars program to remove the $100 gift card, drop the limit to $300 per buyer per credit card, if possible, per credit card or address, and to have a bonus match of 50% of the value purchased on the card.
Support.
All right, Tony, we need you.
Yeah, I think that covers most of it. So we have the amount of cards would be 50 and 25 available. The amount of match is 50%. The total overall purchase limitation per email and or per credit card, if possible, is $300. That's what we've discussed. I would, continuing, I think, Director Brake's train of thought, would it make sense to limit transactions to a email and or to a credit card to one transaction in a 24-hour period? That would like avoid somebody sitting in getting their haircut, buying multiple cards to pay for their haircut, getting the bonuses. Does that make any sense to anybody, limiting, having like a 24-hour period?
The way EFT works is I could put up to $300 in my cart
Right.
immediately.
Correct.
You can't limit the cart.
No, and Tony, I think the spirit of the program is that you're doing your gift shopping. I mean, so I don't have a problem with people buying $300 worth of cards. You know, now they're going to be in lower denominations, and again, is there the look, like I said, we're never going to stop. You know, it's not always going to go dollar for dollar the way we want it to go. Our plan was to follow this up with, obviously we're gonna have to re-roll out the promo, and we're gonna have to think, we're gonna have to couch it the right way, because we have, we've changed the parameters. And the bottom line is that we had a certain amount that we were willing to put out there for 100% match, and we exhausted that. Okay. And now we're bringing some more back for a 50% match. Okay. And Sean is going to follow it up with an email to the 73 people or however many people we have that accept these cards, the merchants, and just kind of remind them of the spirit of the program, and in a very nice way saying, look, this is for all of us, and we all need to be good citizens and help each other out and live within the spirit of the program. And agreed, Sean?
Yeah, I was going to notify them and let everybody know what our expectations are and what is considered, the spirit of the program. I did have a question just to clarify. When you say the total limit is $300, you're talking about the total limit for the match is $300, correct? They will match up to $300, and then if they continue buying more cards in addition to that, we just won't match anymore after that. They're just tying their own money up into that. Okay.
Correct.
I think we have to rewrite that resolution, though. That's not what I resolved, but that's because, yeah, no, I apologize. I did. That's what I wrote.
Okay. And we'll, and we'll see how things go. I'm hoping the buying goes steadily. It's not going to go as fast as it was, but that's okay. I mean, we'd like the program. This worst case scenario, we get to the December meeting and we're still sitting on a pile of money and we extend the thing a month and, you know, we call it, you know, the January buy. If there's money still sitting there. I should have listened to you guys from the beginning. The 50% match would have put more money out on the street. It just would have been a better program and it would have been a more sincere program because there would have been more investment on the buyers.
It was a great program. It's a great program for the spirit of Christmas. These parameters are just intended to protect the program against the few Grinches that are out there.
Yeah. Well,
We have to vote, guys.
Okay, so is there a
Need a roll
renewed
call.
motion? Is that motion clear enough?
Yes,
Tim?
yes. Yes, we just
Okay.
need a roll call.
Okay, we had a second?
Yes.
I was the second, or Mr. Brake was the second.
Okay, then I'll do call for the vote by roll call. Director Brake,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Riley,
yes.
Director Baglio,
Yes.
Director Rosbeck,
Yes.
and I will vote yes.
Sean, if you get a
Motion
chance,
carries.
put together bullet points just whenever we can, and we'll roll everything back out tomorrow. That sound good?
I have a standing meeting tomorrow with Siren, and we're going to talk about this and how we're going to spread
Okay.
the word on this.
I like that. Just keep me in the loop if you can.
Could you
Okay, the
share,
next item was,
sorry, Sean, could you share that with the marketing committee, the consumer marketing committee once you're done too?
The email? Yeah, we'll send something out like through the newsletter, like the 20,000 subscribers to let everybody know, and then we'll send a separate email with, you know, with a
Right.
different
I
audience.
guess I just want to make sure, yeah, we
Yeah,
understand what's
I'll make
going
sure the entire DDA is copied on that. It's like a MailChimp list. So you guys you'll see what, unless, yeah.
okay, the next item is sale of holiday Christmas tree.
I'll jump in on this. We did get an offer to purchase the holiday tree that the DDA was putting up with the with AV7. That contract has expired. If you want to sell it, I would simply ask for a resolution to sell it to Canterbury Village for the offered amount. If you don't want to, I'd like some direction on what you want us to do with it.
Quick question. I remember when we bought that, and I remember we looked at a couple different options, and this was the one that came from from China and took forever to get here and everything. So I think I remember what we paid for it, and we're not using it anymore. Is that correct?
That's correct.
If we're not using it, I would move to accept the offer.
Gary, are you seconding?
No, I have something to.
I'll second. Now, you can discuss, Gary.
And the next agenda item is the holiday requests from the farmers market. To me, a lot of these things are intertwined. The tree, we're not using it anymore. The tree could be repurposed to be a pole tree, which is something that I think the city should look into using. It would save a lot of money if we used the existing frame that we own with this tree. But looking at the next agenda item, either the farmers market could use this frame or this tree for their tree lighting, and or if they choose not to, we sell the tree, give them the money that we make from the tree, and both agenda items are passed. That was a lot. If anybody needs any clarification, I'm happy to do that.
Well, we have had conversations with the farmers market about the tree. I don't believe there's interest in using it this year. I believe based on their proposal, and Robin's on the call, but I believe their thought on the tree lighting is to use the live tree that's in the circle drive between the courthouse and things. So I don't believe there's interest, at least in this year, attempting to use it. Whether or not you sell it and then use the money for the farmer's market, I would separate those two actions and either proceed with the sale as moved by Director Riley. And then when you get to the next one, you could either authorize the funds or not. So I understood what you were saying, Gary, but I wouldn't want to confuse the two.
Okay, is any further discussion?
We need another roll call on it based on the motion.
Okay. Director Brake,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Baglio,
No.
Director Rosbeck,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Motion passes. Okay, the next agenda item is the farmer's market holiday proposal. And
Robin Richardson's on the call. I'll let her explain the proposal and then we can get into questions from there.
Okay, thank you so much. We are going to still do our Holiday Magic craft show that we have done for 20 plus years now. And it was brought to our attention that since there was not going to be a tree lighting and that some of the other items that you were considering doing for the holidays had been basically canceled, that we might be able to take the tree that's right out. We were gonna light it anyway, but obviously it would not be as grand as if we had some cash behind it. But we would talk about taking the tree that's in front of the courthouse that's already there. It's a big evergreen, and having that as like this year's tree lighting. Obviously, it's sort of just a placeholder because we've always done a tree lighting. But the way it's positioned, we can shut down the east parking lot. I've talked to Oakland County about bringing in their stage, and we've looked at a few bands. The area is very large, and it gives us enough that we could social distance several hundred people in there. We'd still encourage masks. But it would also be a tree that could be lit throughout the week and days up to the holidays, and people could come take photos. It's right in front of the new city hall. It's right in front of the new police station. So it's absolutely in this new area that we're developing. And then if, in years next year and the year after that, or if the park is ready or wherever it gets moved to, at least it does keep people in that same vein. So when it was approached for us to include that, we were more than happy to, but of course don't have any dollars in our budget to do that. And even the revenue from the entire revenue from the show wouldn't cover that. So I reached out to English Gardens, I reached out to Oakland County and to a couple different bands. The proposal ahead, I don't know if Tim printed that out or not, but it's about $7,500, $7,500 to be able to pull that off.
Jennifer's got her hand up.
Thanks, Robin, for bringing this. I'm just going to ask the obvious question. We just, in our last DDA meeting, we talked about, canceling the reverse parade and all of that. I got scoffed at for thinking about mapping these buildings in this area. If the farmers market is going to do this and we're going to help them out with their budget, I do think we should probably go back to Julie and ask about if mapping of the one side of City Hall and of the judicial area would be something that we would want to do this year, if we could even attempt to do this year. I know it's very late in the season, but if the city commission is okay with 100 people coming into this area, which I don't know how they could with COVID, but I would think we would want to bring more lights than just the tree. That's my.
Gary was next on the hand up.
Jennifer, I don't remember you being scoffed at. I agree. We need to talk with Julie about mapping. I thought we were scheduling a consumer marketing committee to discuss just that, but we haven't met yet. I agree, having an event at this time during COVID the factors only get worse. I don't think we should promote any large gatherings. However, we just sold a tree for $5,000, so I guess I could be convinced to part with that to help with it if it moves forward. My point here is I really feel strongly that the Consumer Marketing Committee meet and talk about mapping and a budget.
I'm sorry, I'm not into that. I don't exactly know what's happening with that. I have had to miss a couple of those meetings, but we're gonna move forward with the show regardless if we do the extra dollars per tree. It was brought to us, we didn't, you know what I mean? It was proposed to us to try to make something happen. We have been open since, we've never closed the market for Saturdays. We are still open. We've changed the way our layouts are. We have 15-foot aisles. We probably have 1,000 people that come through here on any given Saturday, obviously not all at once. We've been doing our food truck rallies outdoors. We've got another one tonight, which will be indoors, but it's for seating only. And tables are 8 feet apart. There's somebody here that is in the middle of, wiping them all down and keeping them all safe. We know that we can only have 250 people in here because of the fire marshal and all the different guidelines through the governor's office. So Saturday, Sunday market is open again and has been for about 5 months now. And again, that's a antique market. We have been operating in very safe, very compliant with all the guidelines, and we've had absolutely no problems, knock on wood. We will move forward with the craft show with or without that outside component. I think it would be wonderful to have something for families, and people that will want to come will come, and people that are nervous to not come will not come. But it would be here during the week. It'd be someplace people could come at their leisure and take a photo in front of it without being on the main road. I just think there's a lot of positives to it.
Robin, I guess I don't take my comments personally, because I do think the farmers market has done a lot of good COVID responsible programming.
Matt had his hand up.
Yeah, question, Robin. In the schematic or the picture that you sent, the tree that's at the court. Do you know how tall that tree is?
I don't, and it looks so small from there. I took that from. Obviously, I took that from Google Earth, and it's about 3 years old because the city hall isn't even there yet.
Okay.
It's probably 20 feet, maybe.
Okay. And I guess and look, I'm going to go with the group on this, however they feel on this. But to me, the mapping thing, one of the reasons I think what we discussed was that would be something that would be effective if we looked at it, because the proposals that we had were like for one day, and they were like $25,000 a building, and we didn't know whether they could be out there for the whole time. And one thing we talked about was if we were going to do it, instead of doing it on City Hall, we would do it more in the downtown area where people would be. This, I think what Robin's looking for, and again, tell me if I'm wrong, but it's not so much that this is going to be something that attracts people constantly. I mean, the tree lighting might attract some people, but it's more just a spot for people to go and take a picture, whatever. That's the way I read it. So I guess the question is, do we want to have a, I guess what we would call a city tree or not? I guess that's kind of the question, right?
Gary had his hand up next.
I'm going to just move that we approve $5,000 for the farmers market to decorate the tree over at in front of the police station.
I second that.
They're asking for 75 though.
We just got 5,000 from Canterbury Village. That's all I'm doing.
So, Robin, can I ask you a question? If we approve 5,000, can you still light the tree, or do you need the 7,500?
We could certainly light the tree. We wouldn't be able to have the entertainment that we like. We wanted to bring in that Oakland County stage and offer it. If anyone from the DDA would like to address the crowd, if city manager, I don't know. We were trying to go back to more of that holiday. I've reached out to a couple different, the Children's Choir, Borgo Sisters, and a lot of people are kind of on hold because I told my, if we don't have the dollars, we don't have the dollars. So it really just depends. If yes, we could be part of it if you'd like it all to be done. If I'm going to pay for a band and things like that, it's about $7,300. And certainly, again, this is really like life will go on with or without it. I think it would be a nice thing, but it's not essential. But I just think after the year that we've had it, it would be nice to have just a point where people can go and take some photos.
Yeah, and just to be clear, when I read the proposal, you're having your event independent of whatever the DDA does today. The only issue was would the DDA consider giving you $7,500 so that you can provide the city with a nice tree lighting and these other things that would be nice for the residents to be able to have something, since we're not doing our typical Christmas celebration as we discussed last meeting. So I think it's a very nice idea to do this, and to make it as nice as possible. A couple $1,000s, wouldn't prevent me from allowing the city to look forward to something kind of nice. The event's happening anyway. So there's a motion on the table, a second. Any more discussion?
Lori raised her hand.
Hi, Robin. First of all, I love the farmer's market. I love getting my vegetables there on Saturday. And so I just think that the tree lighting is a wonderful idea, but to add more entertainment makes it then a super spreader event. So as soon as you add a choirs are one of the worst spreaders of COVID. So I just think to be our city to be attached to that is problematic for me. But I'd love the idea of a tree lighting, but not to make it for thousands of people come, because then we just look silly.
Right.
But I do like the idea of a tree.
In talking to the children's choir, we talked about having something instrumental, because obviously singing is one of the worst things. They're not even sure they could pull something like that together. If we don't do the bandstand, we could still have music on the porch. I mean, it's all doable. It's just and we're not talking about trying to bring in 10,000 people, but more than likely there'll be a few thousand people that come to this show anyway. It's just something that would extend the footprint of it, because now it's an inside and an outside element. And it's not like we're not going to do the giveaways for food. The giveaway, just be hot chocolate and food and coffee and cookies and all of that stuff all given away, which brings another element. That brings a different crowd, as you all know. That's not even on the table. We're not doing anything like that. We are going to, if we do this, we would have a couple food trucks out there. If someone wanted to grab something to eat, we'll have seating outside, that kind of thing. But again, you're paying for it, so it just is a different animal when you're not giving it away. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have to agree with Director London. This board, we took a position at the last meeting against putting our DDA dollars towards events that would draw people to the town. So I think I'm fine with spending the money on the decorating of the tree, but I wouldn't be for spending DDA money for social events at this point.
I have one question before, just for clarity on it. Robin, the proposal from English Gardens is for $6,900 to decorate and the tree and remove the lights, so on.
Right.
Are you able to carry that out with the DDA's 5,000?
I don't think so. I don't think Shelley's got that in her budget. Part of the dollars from that, though, is how it was explained to me with English Garden, is that they decorate the tree and then they take it away. You kind of buy it that first year, so you have those dollars out ahead of time, and then they take it back and store it for you. And then the next year, it'll be a smaller amount to install it, because you won't be buying it again. So I know that's putting a lot of money on the front end of this, but you would own the decorations and they can be put on any tree. Because I talked to him about that too. I said, if, if at some point the tree is somewhere else, then would those, and he's, he said, yes, it has to be sort of a similar size, or you might have to take more decorations, but you would be able to keep using those decorations throughout the, seasons.
So then is there any interest in somebody offering a motion to cover the English Gardens cost to light the tree?
I think Gary was going to
Motion on the table.
resolve his motion. So we have to vote on your motion, right, Gary? And then we have to bring a new one. So the motion on the table is that the 5,000 be spent towards the tree lighting or the farmer's market proposal.
You guys should do a roll call, Tony.
And wait a second. But are you saying now that doesn't cover lighting the tree?
Correct. So we have to vote this down and bring a new proposal.
Robin, I have a question before we vote. Did you guys shop around for lighting installers or did you just go to English Gardens?
In the interest of time, I went with what the city's used in the past because they were going to be doing other lighting in the city. I can certainly shop it, and I can go back to English Gardens and say, I have 5,000. What can you do for us there as well? All that's on the table. This is such, and I apologize for how fast this is happening, but like I said, it just got brought to us.
Any more questions? Now take the roll call. Director Brake,
No.
Director London,
I
Director
abstain.
Lundberg.
I'm so confused, so I'm not voting.
Director Riley,
No.
Director Baglio,
Yes.
Director Rosbeck,
No.
and I will vote no. So the motion doesn't pass.
Okay. Can I bring a new motion?
Yes.
That I would like to motion that we cover the costs of the English Garden proposal for the tree lighting to the dollar amount needed for the farmer's market.
Support.
Is there a second?
Support.
Dr. Break.
Okay.
Director Brake.
Any further discussion? Is that motion, Director Rosbeck, limited to the 6,900 proposal, or if they can negotiate something better?
I think when I add it up though, if I add up the storage and we're talking about $5,800.
How much?
Right.
58.
5,800. Tim, are you clear on that then?
Well, everyone can pull up the proposal. It's in your agenda. If I read it right, the top part, holiday, evergreen lighting, LED, 18 to 20 feet, and then ornamental color sizes, that totals up to $4,178. You go to the next page, it talks about takedown and storage and takedown and storage of the ornaments. That total equals $1,621. I believe that's $68.90.
No, it's 58 and 33 cents.
There you
But I like the way you think, Tim.
Okay.
So
motion
I'm
was
making the
cover the proposal.
resolution to cover the costs of the tree lighting up to $5,900. How about that?
I thought that was your motion, was to cover the proposal.
Right, cover the proposal for English Gardens, but Tony asked the question that if they go shop this around, is it a dollar amount? So
No, the proposal, if you say proposal, that clarifies it. That wasn't stated at first. It was just to cover the cost of lighting, which could be
Oh,
anything.
I'm sorry. Yep, the English Garden proposal.
And Director Brake, you're still on second there?
Yes. Correct.
Okay, I'll do a roll call. Director Brake,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Baglio,
Yes.
Director Rosbeck,
Yes,
and I will vote yes.
motion approves.
Okay, the
Rob-
next,
Robin, if you need some other vendors to contact, give me a call.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the help. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thanks, Robin.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, last agenda item before Director Riley falls asleep.
Just trying to make sure no trees are coming through my window.
Where are you?
I'm down in Florida. I mean, I have this, like, these chairs sitting out right outside the patio door that are banging against the patio door right now.
All right, the Skroove proposal. Who's explaining that to us?
I think that'd come from Sean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the DDA received a proposal to renew Skroove's contract for an additional 12 months. There have been some proposed changes in that contract moving forward. I spoke to Tyler yesterday for a period of time discussing those changes. They are both here, both Tyler and Kenny representing Skroove, before the board. So I can let them kind of get into a lot of the details. So, Mr. Chair, if it's okay with you, I'd like to yield the floor to Tyler and Kenny. You're muted, Tony.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said yes. I think it's wise to listen to Skroove anytime we have an opportunity. So Skroove, proceed.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, so first off, we're happy to be here. Over the last 6 months, we have produced 44 videos covering, I believe it was 36 businesses. Had the opportunity to work with obviously a lot of different parts of the economic sectors, from the bars and the restaurants to the retail end and entertainment, everything in between. So, we've seen a lot of good results out of what has been published over the last 6 months. Instagram followers have gone up by 1,500, which is a pretty remarkable number from where everything started. We were on contract for 150 photos. We've produced over 600. So we've delivered far more digital assets than we were required to, because there was just a lot of good opportunity to capture more stuff to be used online. We went ahead and got other people involved in the videos, so that way it would increase kind of the trickle down effect of what got shared. So the DDA would post it, and then we would share it, and then our business would share it, and then ideally the businesses would share it that were in the video, and then the people that were also extras in the film would share it. So we saw some great results from that. So moving forward, the major changes are we went through the analytics, and on average, the shorter form videos performed better than the long form videos. So we are suggesting that we just get rid of doing the 5 to 15 minute videos, and instead focusing into what performed better, which was the 1 to 2 minute videos. Near the end of the last 2 months, we extended the length from 30 to 60 seconds to 45 seconds to 2 minutes, based on a conversation we had with Siren PR and just based on where the videos were going at the time. So we're proposing that we double the length of the short-term videos from 30 to 60 seconds, from 45 to 2.5 minutes, which is going to effectively give each business a little bit more coverage, twice as much coverage, which we think is important. On top of that, we want to take and start creating Instagram Reel videos. For those of you who aren't familiar with that, it's a short 15 to 30 second video that goes on Instagram. Right now, it seems Instagram's favoring pushing organic views for these Instagram Reel videos because they're trying to draw attention away from other apps like TikTok, their competitors. So we've noticed extreme organic reach from these short 15 to 30 second videos. So we would like to produce one of those for each business covered each month as well. And then We are also going to be producing a version of each video that's optimized for Instagram. When you post a full screen video on Instagram, it crops it so there's space above the top and the bottom of it. We want to take the same video and produce it so it's full screen, separate from the Facebook version, so it makes for a better viewing experience, indirectly, maintaining attention longer and hopefully yielding more conversions. And then lastly, I spoke with Sean about this for some length yesterday about social media strategy. We spent some time kind of developing a social media calendar, laying out how we can effectively distribute this content that we produced the last 6 months and moving forward over the last 12 months. Like I said, we logged over 600 photos the last 6 months, and that number is going to go nowhere but up. And we think it's important to make sure that content's being distributed on a regular basis with good rhyme and reason behind it. Going into the weekend, posting the bar and the restaurant content, cafes on Sundays, etc. The retail stuff going into the holiday season, just kind of having some real rhyme and reason to the photo content. The video stuff's a little more simple. It's a video a week. We post on the same day every week. When it comes to the stock images and the photos, I think we need to do a better job at distributing that regularly with a little bit more purpose behind it. So those are the proposed changes, just to sum it up. Get rid of the long form video, double the length of the short term video so that each business will get twice the amount of coverage. Start producing a 15 to 30 second short version for Instagram, produce a full screen version for Instagram, and produce a content calendar that will help distribute all the photo and video content on a more effective basis. So those are the changes. And I know that's a lot, so I'm open for questions.
Tony, you're muted still.
I said, thank you, Skroove, and who has a question?
Matt has one.
No, I just couple things. First of all, I think the quality of the work so far, I think has been wonderful. I think the production value. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to watch a lot of the videos, but the production value has been, I think sensational. I ran this by former Chairman Dunstan, who's a lot more savvy at this kind of stuff than I am, and he liked the proposal. He likes the fact that we're getting, there isn't a slight increase, but we're getting an extra 6 minutes of content. Plus, on top of that, we're adding the Instagram Reel videos. I would say that I'll just speak for myself that the longer videos I didn't watch as much because it takes a lot of time to watch those. I thought they were kind of nice when we put them in the newsletter, but I think in general for the stuff that we're posting, I'd rather go with the short videos and add more time to that, because sometimes when I'm watching those, I wish they went on a little bit longer. One thing that I think is kind of cool is that I think Jennifer, you were the one who has constantly hit on this, of the stick-to-itiveness of a certain program, and that it builds as it goes, particularly with any kind of social media program or something like this. And I think we're getting to the point where these guys are making footholds and increasing. In fact, I've been out in establishments in the city where these two have happened to be, and people recognize them as the Skroove guys who do the Royal Oak videos, which is kind of cool. I mean, they're not only branding for us, they're branding for them, but it's all in one. And the last thing that I'll say is that I would love to get more of their input on the social media aspect of this. And we had some bumps in the roads in terms of getting their stuff out onto the social media platform on a timely manner. In fact, they were out producing what we were putting out there. That was an internal issue that Sean is resolving, and that's something that I look forward to resolving well, so that, because a lot of their stuff is seasonal and time sensitive based on weather. Oh, and one last thing I'll add, I think they'll really play a big role, not if, but when we finally get back to doing events and having them to be able to support events and stuff like that. Whether it's Small Business Saturday, whether it's whatever.
Jennifer had her hand up next.
Could someone remind me what the original contract was? The cost? I think it was $6,500. $7,500. Okay, so for an additional $1,000 a month.
$900, isn't it?
Yeah, 900. You'll get the additional short form video.
Okay,
75 days.
I wanna just reiterate what Matt said is you guys have done a really good job. I'm probably one of your sharers on Facebook that you don't really realize that's me. But I would say to Matt's point, you've given us a lot of content and we really need to get better at distributing the content. And I don't know, and I feel like this is an evolving conversation that, you know, whether it's the DDA who has the support or brings in an, you know, a freelancer to just do social media, or if it's working with the city communications department to maybe figure out if there's an ability for us to share resources there. Sean can only do so much in terms of that, but I do think that the content you've created has been engaging. It's been delightful. It's brought not only younger people into the city or wanted them to come into the city. It's intrigued the young families like myself and such to try out citizen yoga or things like that. I will say, I wish you guys had better masks. That's about it. That's my biggest issue with some of these is that the bandana doesn't fly for me. But I like what you guys do, and I would like better support on the social front in order to approve a bigger contract.
I think Lori was next and then Gary, I think.
I'm not sure if this is a question for Sean or for the Skroove team. Do we throw any ad dollars to help support the Instagram posts?
Like boosts, is that what you're saying?
When it's an Instagram, you could put ad dollars to promote it to a wider audience.
So over the last 6 months, this was not on our end. $188 had been spent on promoted posts. I could look and get you a more specific answer, but not all of that was towards ours. I think a good portion went towards the downtown dollars. I think that a good, you know, and Sean and I had a conversation about this yesterday. A key to success moving forward is putting more effort into putting aside dollars for the boosted post, specifically for that content.
I'll add to that where, so Siren puts together the content calendar, and so Siren will post it, and then Siren will have recommended posts that will be boosted. And so that's kind of how that's implemented.
This could be murky waters, and I'm not sure this is even.
There's a lot of chefs in the kitchen when it comes to social media right now. So I think something that definitely does need to happen is I'd like it to come from the appropriate committee where whoever's discussing it to establish some clear boundaries of, you know, who's doing social media, who's creating the content calendars, who's doing the implementation. You know, I think that definitely needs to be worked out. I think that that's essential. And I know in the past there's been different configurations. We've hired people, we've done it internally. You know, we've given it to Siren. Presently is doing the majority of it. So I think it's just imperative that we answer that question and it not be such a gray area, because when it is that way, it's difficult to find out, you know, who I'm looking at, who's accountable to get what out at that moment.
I think Gary was next and then Paul.
Jennifer and Lori and Sean basically just said what we need some organization and some clarification from the Consumer Marketing Committee. What Skroove does is great. I've watched a lot of the videos. They were in my store a few weeks ago, did a great job. However, the bigger picture of what we're spending for social media, the number of contractors that we have involved, I think the Consumer Marketing Committee needs to sit down and figure out who's doing what and when and why, and before we should approve this, which I think we should approve, but let's get a better understanding of what we're doing and kick this back to committee and hold off till next month to approve the contract. I don't think it expires till December anyway.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Tim. When does the contract, I thought it expired. This
It's in the packet, let's see.
December.
I think
Yeah,
this was our last month of content production, which,
right.
and I definitely get where everyone's coming from. There are a lot of chefs in the kitchen. Unfortunately, it is poor timing with the holiday season approaching. It would be tough to lose the month of December, especially with all the retail shops. I offered to Sean, and that's why I included in the proposal that we're willing to put together a strategy. And I even offered to Sean to help at least get our hand into making sure everything's getting posted in this interim period while we figure out whether it's somebody staffed part-time, whether it's Sean or Siren or us. We're willing to put our time into at least making sure that gets done right until something gets agreed upon, because we know that's an important part. And we know with going into the holiday season, this could be a little confusing. We'd hate to miss out on the next 30 days of, 4 videos could go a long way for a lot of the retail stuff. So.
Matt, you had your hand up.
Well, the last thing.
Paul was next. I
Oh,
think
sorry.
Paul was next.
I'm sorry.
So here's a couple things. What I would suggest is authorizing the promotion committee to define the scope of services so you can move the contract forward rather than send it to committee and have it come back. So I want to provide some different comments and some feedback that I've received and a little bit, and don't take this in a negative way. And I'm not going to throw cold water on. I'm going to start with the good part first. I enjoy watching the videos. I'm a subscriber and really appreciate Tyler and Kenny's work. One thing that I would challenge you is that you look at other demographics, and nothing against our 2 fine actors on there, but it's not representative necessarily of the community as a whole. And I would challenge you to look at, whether it's an older generation, family, different racial background, however. And I don't want to add to what Sean said of having too many cooks in the kitchen, but I have received, it's raising a little bit of eyebrows on the city commission. At least one commissioner has expressed privately to me the content. Again, I'm a big fan of the work. I agree with everything that's described. I'm not going to profess to be a marketing expert, but I just want to throw that out as an additional point of view as you look at the different demographics that we're trying to attract, and where people can relate to that, as these are people that look like me. So I'm just throwing that out, not to be overly critical, but I just want to provide that feedback that I've heard.
I think Matt was next, and then Jennifer.
Yeah, I just want to say I agree with Director Brake that I would, in my opinion, especially for the sake of what we've talked about of continuity and losing momentum, I would like to move this contract, but at the same time move that the Consumer Marketing Committee get together, because this is something that the Business Marketing Committee had talked about, but it's definitely in the Consumer Marketing Committee's field of once and for all of getting this down. And part of the problem that we have here again is our fault because of COVID. And when we came through with the relief and recovery programs, we were just grabbing basically anybody we could to get stuff done, and we knew we weren't being efficient. And that's why we entered in, like we're paying certain branches. I'll just say it. We're paying Siren extra for things like the newsletter. We're paying them for some of the social media stuff that's normally, not in their wheelhouse. Now's the time that things aren't settling down COVID-wise, but now that we're not scrambling to get the grant program out and get the dollars program out and all of that, now's the time for the Consumer Marketing Committee to sit down and go, okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's who's doing social media. Here's who's doing the newsletter. Here's who's doing the PR. Here's who's doing the videos. And sooner not later, but I wouldn't want to hold this up because of that. We're gonna get that done, but I don't want to go dark on this. And if we don't approve this now, then their contract expires.
Jennifer's next.
Yeah, so I agree with what you're saying, Director Brake, in terms of demographics. I guess my question to Skroove right now would be, You two are the primary actors within these content briefs for the most part. And you have a stake in your own company. Would this $8,500 allow you to get actual different demographics without, causing your budget to now shrink on production and things like that?
I think that if you notice too, and I agree with a lot of the points, that's, if you notice when we started filming this, it was primarily, and these haven't been released in the order they've been produced. It was primarily Kenny and I, and then we slowly started to introduce more people and get more people involved for the sake of exposure, but also for the stuff you guys are talking about. It's something we can make an effort to definitely to broaden the demographic of who's involved. I think that's something that we can do. The other thing is from a budget perspective, we don't necessarily want to be it where we're hiring extras, because I think you'll lose a little bit of that
Authenticity.
Exactly. So I think moving forward, we can absolutely make a conscious effort to spread out the demographic of who we're bringing along with us. We know a lot of people that are happy, excited, and proud to be a part of what we're doing. I think the last 6 months have really laid a cool framework for what this is going to be. And I think it's increasing the notability of who gets to be a part of it. So to answer your question, within that budget, I'm confident that we can continue to get more people involved to cover those demographics at that cost.
Perhaps I can suggest, the DDA does have its regular meeting next Wednesday. I don't know if the Consumer Marketing Committee can meet Monday or Tuesday next week to kind of get an outline together on where you want to go, so that you could act on this contract with some idea of where you wanted to head. It would delay it till next Wednesday. There are 2 other items that we would have on the agenda for next week, but I just throw that out as an option if the committee thinks they can have a meeting prior to that.
I guess what's our thoughts, or what's our thoughts to a rolling contract with them at this point, as opposed to trying to solidify 12 months?
That's totally up to the board whether you want to just extend it 1 month.
I'm
Okay.
comfortable meeting next month. I don't know, Lori and Jennifer, are you guys available?
I'm available.
I'm available.
Let's do that.
I am too.
So I would refer this to the Consumer Marketing Committee, and we'll meet on Monday, did I hear?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll schedule that.
Tony, are you available?
Yes, I am. Thanks, Lori. I don't think Gary was concerned about me.
Okay, so we'll do that then, and we'll have it on the agenda for next Wednesday. That's a regular meeting.
Okay,
The
that was the item.
last item I had for the board, just very quickly, we did receive a request from Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle for their final payment on the rebound funds. I think Sean said they confirmed opening last week. So based on the board's previous action, we're going to issue a check request for their balance of the rebound fund, which would be approximately $24,000. That's an information item. I just wanted to make sure you're aware of it.
Okay, thank you. I guess we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Tony, I got one more thing to throw out there, and I apologize, guys, but there's something that's been brought to my attention. I believe Sean's as well. I guess that, and I'm not sure how this got going, but there's obviously we've got the COVID issue, and there's been a lot of local businesses that are running into situations where they need to get employees tested, a fast test immediately, whereas somebody's tested positive. And I guess there was some talk with the city about some funds. And again, I'm just throwing this out there. From what I understand, the city still has some of the funds from the federal grant. I believe the amount was $750,000, that we have a certain amount of time to use it in. Otherwise, it goes back to the feds. And I think it has to be used up in the next 2 months, just by the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken. So there was some talk and some stuff going around. It's gone to the city. And I don't know whether we can have some involvement or how we refer this, but which I think would be a pretty neat idea if we were able to set something up for the downtown businesses, whereby they had basically a COVID fast test fund. And I don't know how you would do this, but let's say you use Beaumont Urgent Care at the old Superior Fish, and it would be, I'm not sure exactly how you would do it, whether you would use a code or whether the businesses would go and pay for it and get reimbursed up to a certain amount if they needed to get their employees quick tested. And I think for retail or for restaurant, it's significant. You know, in other words, if you can get the quick test, and I guess some of those are expensive, $100 each,
$100.
instead of closing down. In other words, you could send everybody there, get them tested, and know what to do. And again, I don't know how big of an undertaking this is, but if we were to do something, it sounds like we'd have to move fast. And if we don't do something, it sounds like the money's going back to the feds, the way I'm understanding it.
Well, let me jump in on the federal money that's coming through the CARES Act. There are very clear and distinct federal guidelines under HUD that have to be complied with. And a member of the planning staff is working on that and has communicated with the president of the Restaurant Association on what they would need to do and submit. I'm not sure what role, if any, the DDA would play in those federal dollars and how that would get implemented. I don't think that's necessary for the DDA board to become involved in it as far as those federal dollars go. And the only the only fast moving part of that was the commission in allocating those funds on Monday night allocated the third round dollars that the city received to the existing programs, which dealt with rental assistance and homelessness and some of those things, and gave the Restaurant Association a month to come up with a proposal on how they may want to apply to use some of those funds. There's no rush on the staff or the DDA to do anything with those. It's really the Restaurant Association having to come back with some proposal in a short period of time before staff signs contracts with other entities to utilize those funds. So I'm not sure what the DDA's role would be in the CARES Act funding. On the other hand, if the DDA wanted to talk about setting some of its own programs up, I think you could do that. And again, there's no timeline on that, but I don't know what role you would play in it. But anyways, I just wanted to clarify that there isn't any rush from the DDA's end to deal with.
Tim, I have a question. I didn't watch Monday's meeting, but if the Restaurant Association comes up with some sort of a plan, how would that benefit a salon owner or a retailer that would be having the same issue? They're not members of the Restaurant Association.
And again, without actually what the proposal might be, I don't know. That's kind of why staff was pushing it back to the entity in the sense of what kind of program do you want to run? And it would be up to the entity to contract with it. The city staff is not running a program. It's a conduit for providing funding. The city staff is not going to run a COVID-19 program. We don't have the resources. We don't have the time. What we would simply do is establish the guidelines and the rules, and the entity would have to run it and have contract with it. And it's basically a reimbursement, meaning, and I think some of the concern was that there's eligibility guidelines too in terms under the federal program with low and moderate income type things and submission requirements. And again, that's why I say I don't think the DDA really wants to dive into being part of a program that's run through HUD and the federal programs. So anyways, I think it just would complicate the discussion.
So Tim, what you're saying is if the DDA were to do a program, because I agree with Gary, if the DDA were to do a program, it would be universal for the entire downtown district in terms of all businesses. But you're saying it wouldn't be with the federal money, it would have to be with our own money. You know what you're saying?
I don't know what role you would play in the federal money. You have no authorization authority. You have no involvement. It's a city commission action. It's a action through the city. So, I mean, short of providing a resolution or recommendation to include more than the restaurant association or restaurants, I don't know what role you would play in that as a board.
Well, just as a scenario, a hypothetical scenario, if we were to recommend a program where somehow we would administrate it or do the legwork to figure out how to make it work, you know, in a manner that it could benefit everybody, and it benefited all businesses in the downtown district, then could we go to the city with a proposal on that? I mean, I'm just wondering hypothetically, and use that money.
If you wanted to, I guess if you wanted to refer it to committee, maybe we could get into more of a dialogue. But as I said, we don't have the staff resources to run the program. So I don't know how we would get into doing that. The conduit for if you're talking about using the block grant funding, the Federal CARES Act funding, it's a pass through. It's the entity would have to do it. And you're using the same staff resources under the DDA. So I wouldn't see a scenario where Sean or myself are going to run this program.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess I just wondered if it was something, and again, you know, as simple as, you know, whether you could set up a program where, you know, if you had $50,000, for example, that it was for all businesses in the downtown area for COVID fast testing for their employees. And let's say they would pay for the.
I think we lost him.
If only we could be all the time.
Taken by the storm.
Right. Didn't see the walls coming down, but
It says my interconnection is unstable. All right. I don't want to make too much trouble for anybody. It was just something I was thinking about.
No, that was a good idea, though.
Very good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, because we have an urgent care in our downtown, it would benefit everyone.
You know what? I'll tell you what. I'll just make some calls and just see if I mean, I don't know, and see if there's a facility that maybe has done something like this before. You know, where they say.
So your rapid testing, is that what you're still
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah, because you know, imagine even for like a law firm. I mean, if a law clerk comes up with it, now you got to send everybody home. But if everybody can get tested and come back.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I just want to give you the reality of that and I had to drop my dog off this morning. The Beaumont urgent care next to my house on 13 and Woodward, basically, was around the block and around the corner with people every day, just trying to get rapid tests. I think the challenge we would find is, you know, you're talking about an expense, and then if you're going to give the reimbursement as a DDA, wouldn't we have to give it back to the company versus the employee? And you'd probably have to work through some of.
Yeah, and again, it wouldn't be expense to us if we were able to get into that Fed money.
Yeah, and then you're talking about someone getting a test every day potentially, and that's just the crazy part of it.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know.
All right. Well, the bottom line is we would have to refer it back to the business marketing committee, and I think we can do that and have a discussion.
I'll do some digging.
Does anybody else have?
I'm not saying using DDA money. Look, I mean, you guys know my nature. When I'm hearing that we have Fed money and it may go back to them, and it sounds like some of it's not going to be used. I mean,
well, let me clarify that again. Let me clarify the Fed money and it going back to them. It's not going back to the federal government in the next 2 to 6 years. The rush is that the city commission has authorized those funds to another entity within the next 4 weeks. if the Restaurant Association doesn't come up with a proposal.
Okay.
Money's not leaving anytime soon.
Okay, then I was told something different.
All right, does anybody else have any other business?
I motion to close the meeting.
Second.
Okay, motion second. I'll do a roll call. Director Brake,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Baglio,
Yes.
Director Rosbeck,
Yes,
and I will vote yes.
I'll see y'all in a week.
Meeting is
y'all in a
adjourned.
week.
stay safe.
All right.
Thank you.